Almost a century ago, specifically on July 24, 1923, the Lausanne Treaty was signed in Lausanne, Switzerland, where Turkish Prime Minister İsmet İnönü represented the new Turkish government and Lord Curzon, a well-known British politician, represented the government of Great Britain, has entered into intense discussion on the issue of Mosul province. The purpose of this Congress was to converse about the issues between Turkey and Greece and the conclusion of a new peace treaty with Kemalist Turkey to replace the Treaty of Sèvres, which neither Kemalist Turkey nor its allies had implemented. During the Congress, Mosul province issues the problem of the foreign concession system, economic and financial difficulties such as the Ottoman public debt, and the protection of foreign economic interests were clearly discussed. In the Sèvres Treaty, the Allies wanted to deteriorate and divide the Ottoman Empire, even surrounded within Istanbul, especially by the newly formed force, the Kemalist movement, which had just formed a Turkish state, and they consumed constant attempts to settle the problems with Italy and France. Meanwhile, the Greek War began and Kemalist Turkey won. All this made Britain reconsider the treaty and revise Sèvres. Hence, we can say that the representative of the Turkish state, İsmet İnönü, was present as the Turkish representative in Lausanne, which was held for the first time in 1922. The main reason for the Lausanne Treaty: 1. Review and amendment of the articles and clauses of the Sèvres Treaty, signed on August 10, 1920, between the victorious countries of World War I. 2. Appraisal of the borders of the Ottoman Empire, which was defeated in World War I, and its territories became the focus of the war-winning countries. On the other hand, the victory of the new Turkish state under Atatürk meant that the Republic of Turkey was no longer an Ottoman state, but it was the best state to replace the Ottoman Empire in the area. However, the new Turkish movement officially recognized by the international community. 3. Returning to the people and forces whose rights were respected in the Treaty of Sèvres, but after the treaty opposed the interests of the victorious countries. 4. The settlement of the Mosul province issue between the new Turkish state, the Iraqi state, and the British government. What should be mentioned is that the destiny of the Kurdish people under the Treaty of Lausanne melted inside the newly recognized Turkish state. Although a revolution made by the Kurds, led by Sheikh Said Piran, followed by Said Reza, against the treaty and the new Turkish state, but weren't successful at that moment. In the following years, the Kurdistan Republic, or the Republic of Mahabat, was established in East Kurdistan on December 22, 1946 in Mahabat, and Qazi Muhammad was sworn as president. At the same time, Mullah Mustafa Barzani, accompanied by 2,000 Barzani fighters, arrived in Mahabat and became the major force to support and protect the Kurdistan Republic in Mahabat. This was another important step to consolidate and promote national sentiment in the Kurdistan Revolutionary of the Republic of Mahabat. President Qazi Muhammad commands the appointment of Mullah Mustafa Barzani as the commander-in-chief of the Revolutionary Army of the Republic of Mahabat. The capital of the Republic was Mahabat and only covered the Mukrian region and the surrounding cities such as Bukan, Shino, Piranshar, and Sardasht. The Kurdistan Republic lasted less than 11 months from establishing. Later was recaptured by the Iranian government on December 15, 1946. In Syria, Kurdish identity has always been prevented. The use of the Kurdish language has been banned. Children should have been named in Arabic rather than Kurdish, and the relocation of Kurds from their homes has been a long process for Syrian regimes. In Syria, businesses are also prevented from operating under Kurdish names, and the Kurds in Syria have been silenced. At the beginning of the Syrian uprising in 2011, tens of thousands of Islamic terrorists, firstly under the name of al-Nusra, then under the name of ISIS and other names, confronted the people of West Kurdistan. They started their war in Syria by killing Kurds, destroying Kobani and other Kurdish areas. By the decision of the Iraqi Kurdistan Regional Parliament, under the recommendation and direct supervision of Kurdistan Regional Government President Masoud Mustafa Barzani, for the first time, Peshmerga was sent outside the borders of South Kurdistan to help, support and collaborate with the Kurdish people in West Kurdistan to defeat ISIS fighters. After the arrival of logistical and humanitarian assistance from the Peshmerga and US forces, the city of Kobani and other Kurdish areas were protected from the inevitable fall. The Baas regime carried out the Anfal process in 8 stages between February and September 1988 under the direct supervision of Iraqi President Saddam Hussein. According to reports, countless civilians have gone missing during the process. The first stage of Anfal began on February 23, 1988 and ended on March 19. The destroyed Ba'athist regime surrounded the communities of Qushtapa, Bahrika, Harir and Diana with heavy weapons. In an unprincipled process, 8,000 civilian Barzanis were abducted to the Iraqi deserts, then buried alive and martyred in the most brutal manner, far from any religious and human values. The second stage of Anfal began on March 22, 1988 and ended on April 1, 1988. The attack covered Soleimani, Mount Glizard, Bazian, Karadagh, Darbandi Khan, Nasser and Zaryani camps. The third stage of Anfal is considered to be the largest and most damaging stage, which covered the borders of Germian and began on April 7, 1988 and ended on April 20, 1988. In the fourth stage of Anfal, which began on May 3, 1988 and ended on May 8, 1988, covered the borders of Aghjalar, Shuan, Khalkan, Dukan, Taktak, Altun Kopri and Koya. Then the fifth, sixth and seventh stage of Anfal began on May 15, 1988 and ended on August 26, 1988. These 3 periods were the most difficult for the Iraqi army. Then the other periods, and fewer people were arrested because most of the villagers have already evacuated their villages, and the Peshmerga forces played a significant role in slowing down the army's attacks on the villages, resulting in many villagers surviving. The last stage, the 8th phase, began on August 25, 1988 and ended on September 6, 1988, covering the borders of Zakho, Dehuk, Atrosh, Zavita, Amedi, Kanimasi, Batufa, Derluk, and Sarsangi. The Halabja massacre occurred on March 16, 1988. When the Iraqi Ba'athist regime bombed the city of Halabja with chemical gas weapons, caused killing more than 5,000 innocent Kurdish citizens, including women, children, and youth. 10,000 others were injured, in addition to several children missing. The Kurdistan Regional Government (KRG) was established in 1992 by the Kurdistan National Assembly, the first democratically elected parliament in Kurdistan. The American, British, and French governments justified the no-fly zones by invoking United Nations Security Council Resolution 688 of a no-fly zone in 1991 to protect the Kurdistan region from violence by the former Ba'athist regime. The KRG has gained expertise and skills during successive cabinets, especially since the fall of the previous regime in 2003. Two separate cabinets of the KRG combined in 2006 to form the fifth cabinet led by Prime Minister Nechirvan Barzani. The ninth cabinet of the Kurdistan Regional Government (KRG) is the most recent cabinet, which formed on July 10, 2019. The Kurdistan Parliament gave confidence to the ministers of this cabinet. Masroor Barzani was elected as the candidate of the Kurdistan Democratic Party (KDP).